In this video, we are counting down the top 20 one-watch collection watches that you need to know about. And we're saving the best until last. Welcome back to the Chism Hunter channel. My name is Harrison, as always. And before we start this video, I was browsing through my stats the other day and realized that we've actually brought it down to 82.9% of you that haven't yet subscribed that watch these videos. If you could do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, starting at the start with number 1 or number 20, depending the way you want to look at it, we have the Tudor Blancpain Heritage coming in at 41mm, looking pretty iconically sporty, but you can dress this up or dress this down. Now, in 2023, they introduced the METAS movement to these watches. METAS movement is above COSC certification, and it's pretty damn awesome for the price. You can dress this up with a bracelet, the new rice grain bracelet approach, or have a rubber strap on this watch. I personally have the bracelet, and it is awesome. Now, to top this off, you have a ton of different colors that you can choose between: burgundy, blue, black, whatever you would like. I personally have the burgundy because I think it adds a little twist to the watch. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. Coming in at number 19 is going to be a shock surprise to a lot of people, but it is the Omega Aquatera, or the Omega Seamaster Aquatera. This model comes in at 41mm, but if you look at the head of this watch, the case of this watch, it has a hell of a lot more polished steel than, let's say, its Planet Ocean brother or its Seamaster 300-meter brother. And the reason for this is it is that little bit more dressy. With that said, if you were to switch the bracelet for a rubber strap, dress it down a little bit, it could be seen as that more sleek and sporty. I think it's a really good hybrid between a sports and a dressy watch, hence being a one-watch collection. Now, it does have the caliber 8900 movement, that's COSC and METAS certified, and it comes in a variety of different colors for your personal preference. Coming up next, or coming in at number 18, is a watch that's really hugely spiked in popularity over the last year in particular. And I myself have one. I'm not being biased, however, I think this is a great all-rounder, a great one-watch collection. It is the Christopher Ward 12. Now, these come in a variety of different sizes. You have the 40mm variant or the 36mm variant. Now, everybody wants a Genta-inspired design for a cheaper price, and partially the reason for that is that Genta-inspired designs can be worn up as a dress watch, for example, the AP Royal Oak, or worn down as a more sporty substitute, a more sporty watch. And I feel that this is where this Christopher Ward 12 really shines through. That topped off with the fact that it comes in about £1,000, so it's a lot less expensive than any other Genta-inspired design that you can see out there. For example, AP Royal Oak, Patek Philippe Nautilus, Vacheron Constantin overseas. It is a great all-rounder. Coming in at number 17, we're actually taking a step down in price again for that affordability aspect, and we're going for the Tissot PRX. The Tissot PRX has really boomed in popularity, and I feel that a lot of watch collectors that didn't really know about the luxury watch industry before have since purchased a Tissot PRX because they're affordable, but because they have the perception of also having that luxury mechanical automatic watch feel. Now, the Tissot PRX comes in at 40mm, has that Genta-inspired design. They are mass-produced. They're not handcrafted luxury. However, they are a good stepping stone to get into the industry. And a lot of my friends that aren't in the industry own a Tissot PRX, and that is their one-watch collection. Next up is a little bit of a weird one. It's the JLC Polaris, or JLC Polaris. Now, this is a little bit strange to a lot of people because it is verging on the point of niche, but the only reason that it's niche is because JLC's production numbers are so low, and the reason that they're so low is because they're so premium and exclusive. Now, this is the watch that you buy at the end of your watch journey. The cherry on the top of the cake, that is the JLC Polaris. Now, it can be dressed up or down, given a rubber strap, a leather strap, or a bracelet. It comes in at around about 40 to 42 mil in diameter, depending on which model you go for, and it also has 2 crowns at the right-hand side, giving it a little bit more of a sporty feel. It also has an interior rotating bezel, which is a really, really cool feature, and it has all the sporty functionality of a sports watch, but it looks dressy. Hence why it is the perfect watch for a one-watch collection. Next on the list is the Vacheron Constantin 222. Now, these watches are extremely exclusive, and just to give you a little kind of gauge as to how exclusive Vacheron are, Rolex on average produce about 1.2 million watches a year. Vacheron produce about 20 to 40,000. That's wild. The case of the 222 comes in around about 37 millimeters, and the bracelet on this watch is honestly to die for. It is stunning. It remains very, very dressy while carrying through a sporty feel. It kind of has the sporty designs, but you would never wear it as a sports watch, hence it being kind of an all-rounder. Now, I was going to put a price on this watch, however, it's extremely hard to pick one up new. This is due to the production of Vacheron being so low and the popularity obviously being so high, but if you were to pick this watch up on the pre-owned market, you'd be paying about 60 to 70,000 pounds. Now, my standout feature on this watch, the thing that I love most, is the little Vacheron Constantin symbol on the case to the right-hand side. It's just stunning. Next on the list is Drew's personal watch behind the camera. It is the Blancpain B58. Now, the reason that these boomed in popularity so heavily is because they came in at 39 millimeters. Everyone in the industry kind of is shrinking down their case sizes just a touch. Now, it remains sporty. However, the amount of people that I have seen in Chism Hunter in the office or in the store going to work with this watch makes it a total all-rounder. And also, other watch enthusiasts know that you're wearing a Chudar and will strike up a conversation. It's pretty awesome. Now, the cool thing about this watch, apart from it being a Chudar and having a COSC certified movement and being water resistant to 200 meters, is that it still has vintage flares thrown in there. For example, the snowflake hands. For example, the gold gilt on the bezel and the hands. For example, the little splash of red that they used on the bezel. All of these things play in unison to make just a damn sexy watch. Next on the list is one that we had to mention eventually because it was going to get brought up either in the comments or by Drew screaming at me behind the camera. It is the Rolex Submariner. Yes, I know it's probably one of the most common watches in the world, and it's very boring to talk about it, but let's not lie here. It's a legend in the industry, and it didn't become a legend overnight. It became a legend over years for its quality, looks, precision, timekeeping. It is an awesome watch from an awesome brand. It comes in at 48 millimeters in diameter. Rolex have nailed the proportions of this watch. It looks sexy as hell. You guys know what a Submariner is. There's no point in me going on about it that much. But on that note, a lot of my friends that have saved up a bit of dosh, I'm getting old now, so they perhaps don't have kids, so they've been able to save up money. They have got a Rolex Submariner because they don't know any other brand, and they probably wouldn't buy anything else. Rolex has always been the goal for them, just because it's the only brand they know, hence why it makes for a good one-watch collection. Because people that maybe don't know the industry as much probably know Rolex, and if they're going to get a Rolex, it's probably going to be a Submariner. The next on the list is a little bit of an obscure one to a lot of people. I mean, I know it's a brilliant brand, and it's a very sought-after common brand. However, I didn't really get into them until about 3 to 6 months ago, where I went, I kind of tipped over the edge and went fully obsessed. It is the Breitling Super Ocean. Now, there's tons of variants of this watch, and the one that I would go for probably is the 42 mil. This model, this Breitling, is definitely a little bit more big. It's definitely a little bit more chunky. However, I do think with the bracelet, it can be used as both a kind of dressy watch and also a sporty watch, more of an all-rounder. And that's kind of the premise of this video. But the better thing about that is that someone that spots you with a Breitling on is probably a genuine watch enthusiast, and they'll genuinely be interested about your watch. Whereas everybody kind of knows about Rolex, and everybody kind of knows about Tudor. It's not a bad thing, it's just that it might be more authentic to start a conversation with somebody that likes Breitling. By the way, if you were looking to get that one watch collection for you, then head over to Chism Hunter. That is our official website where we're official stockists of a ton of different brands. I mean, we've got Omega, Tudor, Vacheron Constantin, Panerai, the list goes on and on and on. So that's chismhunter.co.uk. chismhunter.co.uk. Coming in, I believe this is number 10, but to be honest, guys, I've totally lost track of the numbers, so we'll probably do something in the video to show the numbers. But coming in at number 10 probably is the Seiko 5 GMT. Now, a GMT allows you to read multiple time zones, and coming in at £420, this is a more entry-level watch. However, it is a pretty damn good watch at that. Now, the one that I would go for here, the one that is timeless in my opinion, is the Black Grape variant. It comes in at 42.5 millimeters. So yes, it is a little bit more chunky, but Seikos in general are a little bit more chunky. And the bracelet of this watch kind of has like a rice green feel going through the middle, which gives it a more dressy element to it. But the bulky nature and the crown coming out the side of this watch, the kind of unique spot that it comes out of, gives it a more sporty feel. So these are factors that are playing in unison that make it an everyday wearer for all occasions. The next watch is a watch that we don't talk about enough, actually. We've not talked about it in ages. It's the Rado Captain Cook. And these watches are really good quality. They're pretty affordable and they're pretty popular. And they come in at about 42 millimeters or 37 millimeters. So you do have size variants to kind of pick between depending on your wrist size. You also have tons of different colors, and the kind of more rice grainy bracelet approach. I've said this a couple of times now, but it does give it that little bit more of a dressy feel. However, the ceramic bezel on this watch gives it a more sporty flair. The thing that I like about Rado is that they use quite unique colors, for example, the burgundies and all that kind of stuff. And that gives it more of a USP, a unique selling point. Now, these watches do come in at about £1,600, give or take, so they're by no means cheap at all. So they are a big purchase, they're a considered purchase, and there's a lot of people that I know that have got these as their one watch, and they're happy with it. And that's okay. Next on the list is honestly a really special one. It's one of my favorites on this list. It is a brand that has exploded onto the scene, exploded into huge amounts of popularity, especially since 2023, which was last year, where they had a string of incredible releases. Those releases were highlighted by one in particular, which was the Hydra Conquest GMT, the new Hydra Conquest GMT. Now, these watches come in either blue, black, brown, or green. They come in at 41 mil in diameter, and there's so many upgrades from the original Hydra Conquest. For example, the bracelet has been totally changed. It's awesome now. They've got rid of that little flap that used to be there. These watches are seriously sick. They have an in-house movement and come in at around about £2,750 as of today. Remember that watch brands have price increases incrementally throughout the years, so it might go up or down. Story time, one of my best pals in the world, actually, the first watch he ever bought was a Longines Hydra Conquest. He learned from the best. The next watch brand is one that is filled with history. It's filled with brilliance in the industry. It is the Cartier Tank. Now, these come in 3 different sizes. You have small, medium, and large, or small, large, and extra large, I believe is what they call it. So you do have different sizes to fit your wrists. And a lot of people are going to get really upset and say that these are more dressy watches. And although I would agree with them to an extent, I've seen a lot of people wearing this model as their daily beater. So let me know in the comments what you think, but I think this is a pretty good one watch collection watch. Because of the smallness and thinness of it, it doesn't connect with stuff as easily when you kind of bash it, which makes it, to me, a little bit safer to wear all the time, which makes it more of a one watch collection watch. The next watch on the list, and I would say a number, but I've honestly lost track, is the IWC Engineer. These were released in 2023 and they come in 3 different colors, but there's 4 different variations, I suppose you could say. They come in either a silver, an aqua, a black, or a kind of titanium-y silver, but the bracelet and the head of the watch is in titanium. These models were reincarnations of the GOAT that was designed by Gerald Genta, the original engineer. Now, these models come in at around about £11,000-ish. The titanium is obviously a lot higher than that, and there was lots of skepticism about the price of this watch. So I'd love to know what you guys think of the price of this watch. Is it too expensive for what it is, or is it too cheap for what it is? Let me know in the comments. The next watch on the list is the TAG Heuer Aquaracer. Now, there's a ton of different variants to choose between. I mean, the Solargraph, the new Solargraph, is one of my favorite variants, and if I'm perfectly honest, I love the technology in that model. But the reason that TAG Heuer is the perfect one-watch collection watch is that it appeals to a younger market. And a lot of people that don't really know the industry but want a luxury watch go for TAG. Now, there's a really interesting story of the man that propelled TAG Heuer into the sky, so to speak, and that is Jean-Claude Biver. Now, Jean-Claude Biver was walking along the street when he took over TAG with his, I believe it was his son or his grandson. And his grandson pointed at Cara Delevingne, a poster of Cara Delevingne, and said, "She's gorgeous. She's a good-looking girl. The son has good taste." And Jean-Claude Biver said, "Yes, who is that?" And the son said, "That's Cara Delevingne, Jean. You need to know. You need to get down with the kids." And then Jean-Claude Biver said, "That's the woman that we're going to use for TAG, because that's who the youth are mingling with." They then had Liam Hemsworth or Chris Hemsworth, I can't remember, it was one of them, the one that plays Thor, and it honestly propelled the brand into a new level of fame. And because of this marketing decision by the genius who is Jean-Claude Biver, the industry kind of changed, and the youth of the industry, I say youth, I mean tags are still pretty expensive, but let's say 18 to 24-year-olds all began just wanting TAG Heuer models. Next up is I need to apologize for it because it is another Rolex, but you can't deny it's iconic. You can't deny that it's fantastic. It is the OG Rolex Daytona. This has the stainless steel bezel, although you could easily just get the one that doesn't have the stainless steel bezel because they are still in circulation and the other one is discontinued. But my personal preference and my biases are showing in this video. Now, the Rolex Daytona is a chronograph model, and chronograph literally translates as time writer. Essentially, it is a stopwatch on your wrist. It's pretty cool, and it has a ton of different functionality, hence making it a one-watch collection watch. I mean, it has the sporty functionality to stop and start time, to measure time, but it also looks sexy on the wrist, is pretty damn polished, and just looks great. So I'm just in the editing suite at the moment, and I realized that I'd totally forgotten number 4. So at number 4, we have kind of a similar one to the Rolex Daytona. However, some would argue that this is the GOAT, the OG Daytona, if you will. It is the Zenith Chronomaster Sport, and believe it or not, Zenith actually used to supply Rolex Daytona's movements. Honestly, the white dial on the Zenith Chronomaster Sport coming in at 41mm is absolutely stunning. I love how they've done the colored subdials, the black bezel, and it just looks so sporty and cool. Some people argue that they're copying Rolex, but I would argue that Rolex copied Zenith. The Hamilton Khaki Field Expedition is the third last watch on this list. We're getting near to the crux now. And I know that a lot of people will argue with me, saying that it's an expedition model. It's obviously meant for the outdoors, and therefore it cannot be dressy. It can't be an all-round watch. However, I would argue that a lot of people that I see in suit and ties are wearing the Khaki Field Expedition on the bracelet. And then when they want to take it out with them, they switch it over to a NATO. Now, something that I did with my expedition is I actually switched over to the green NATO from the previous Khaki Field mechanical, and that looks pretty damn sexy. Now, these watches come in at 37mm or 41, and they have a rotating compass bezel. The compass bezel, you're probably never going to use it, but it does look pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of like wearing a Omega Seamaster on your wrist. Odds are you're never going to go diving with it, but it's cool that it has it. Next on the list, coming in at number 2, we're almost there, is the Glashütte Original CQ. Now, there is the CQ Chrono, or there is just the normal CQ. You could go with either. I personally would just go with the normal CQ. These models come in at about 42 or 39mm and come in a couple of different colors. One of my favorites being the green. I think that's absolutely awesome. Now, the marketing and everything around this watch is all to do with the outdoors. It's to do with sports, but it can be dressed up as well. Put that bracelet on it, and the mechanics in this watch are to die for. I mean, Glashütte Original as a brand, as a German brand, which is also pretty cool, produce 95% of their movements in-house. They don't import the products, which is really, really rare, especially when you look at other brands. And I'm not going to mention anyone in particular, but that's a rare thing to find. Trust me. Now, another thing about the Glashütte original brand is the double G logo. They have one G pointing backwards and one pointing forwards. And what this actually represents is looking into the past, drawing inspiration from their past, but also looking into the future and innovating for the future. And I can actually see this in these Glashütte models, especially when I visited the factory in Glashütte. Coming in at number 1, and this is huge. This is a big one. When it comes to icons in the industry, iconic watches that everyone knows and everyone loves, and it's very hard to bash them, so to speak. This watch is probably at the top of that list. I would rate this personally above the Rolex Daytona. I mean, it was the first watch on the moon. The Omega Moonwatch, the Speedy, is number 1. It is first on the list, and it is an awesome watch. There's so many different variants to choose between that it's quite difficult for me to kind of pinpoint. However, let's just strip it back and talk about the original watch that went to the moon. I mean, they've still got Hesalite in their Moonwatch. It's still mechanical, or variants are still mechanical, to pay homage to the first watch that was on the moon, and that is just awesome. I mean, it is genuinely a watch nerd's dream. These watches are super sexy on the wrist. They come in tons of different variations, tons of different colors. And everyone from every aspect and walk of life will know about the moon landings and will subsequently know about the Moonwatch. So it's just such a good all-rounder. Thank you guys so much for watching this Chism Hunter video. My name is Harrison. As always, please let me know what you thought down in the comments, or hit that subscribe button. I said or, but do both. That'd be absolutely great. Or follow us on Chism Hunter Watches. I said or again, but I mean, just do all three. That would be awesome. And I'll see you guys real soon.